Right now, millions of dual-income families earning six figures feel completely stretched thin. They have decent jobs, but they live under constant pressure, terrified that a single medical bill or broken transmission will wreck their finances. If you turn on the news, that anxiety gets validated immediately. Presidents and institutional leaders repeat a familiar line: the American middle class has been hollowed out, and it crosses party lines completely. Populist politicians built entire platforms on the idea that the middle class is dying, presenting it as an unquestionable mathematical fact. We have diagnosed the American economy with a terminal illness. Everyone agrees the patient is dying. But if we look closely at the data driving that diagnosis, the symptoms tell a very different story. The claim that the middle class is shrinking comes from how we measure it. Usually, we define the middle relative to the median income. As the country gets richer, the median goes up, so the target constantly moves. But recent research from the American Enterprise Institute measured incomes against an absolute inflation-adjusted baseline. They held the target still. This chart shows how families are distributed across absolute income brackets between 1979 and 2024. If the economy was truly failing, we'd see millions falling into poverty. Instead, the share of poor and near-poor Americans fell from 30% of the population to 19%. Look at the shift on the right side. The upper middle class, households making roughly $130,000 to $400,000 a year, tripled in size. In 1979, they made up 10% of the country. Today, they represent 31% of all families. The traditional core middle class shrank by a few percentage points because millions of Americans graduated upward into higher income brackets. Which leaves us with a bizarre contradiction. The modern economy has generated massive upward mobility. Statistically, Americans are wealthier than ever. Yet, psychologically, we feel poorer. To understand why, we have to look at how that upward mobility was engineered. 50 years ago, a typical middle-class lifestyle was built on a single earner baseline. Then, the workforce expanded. Millions of women entered professional careers, transforming the standard household into a dual-income leverage machine. Over 80% of upper-middle-class households are now dual earners. These families leverage two professional salaries to secure their financial foundation. Higher education created a massive compounding payoff. A clear majority of people holding bachelor's and advanced degrees now sit comfortably in the upper middle class. This mass migration out of the traditional middle class reflects a deliberate social and educational evolution that upgraded the American workforce. But you can't pay a mortgage with a demographic trend. If households have more income and leverage than previous generations, why do so many families still feel crushed? It comes down to a localized cost squeeze. The structural pillars of middle-class stability, housing, healthcare, and education, have vastly outpaced general wage growth. Where you live distorts the math even further. A $200,000 salary provides a highly comfortable, wealthy life in the Midwest. Take that exact same income to coastal megacities, and you are stretching to cover basic expenses. Then there is the comparison trap. Human beings don't evaluate their wealth against a fixed line from 1979. We look at the people around us. With the top 1% pulling further away, a six-figure earner still feels like they are losing the race. The macro data accurately measures our absolute societal progress. But our everyday reality is defined by the acute, localized pain of trying to afford modern markers of success. Both are true. The headlines are technically correct. As a strictly mathematical share of the population, the middle class is shrinking. Millions of Americans have simply graduated into higher income brackets. The distinction matters. If we believe the entire economic system is failing, we panic. We start hunting for scapegoats instead of looking for actual solutions. By accurately diagnosing how real income growth and education built this upward mobility, we can figure out how to replicate it. We can focus our policies on pulling up the vulnerable demographics that actually remain left behind. The middle class evolved. The challenge of our era isn't proving progress happened. It's making sure the latter stays accessible for the next generation.